Point of order, Ron Mark.
Apologising for interrupting the debate, sir, but earlier and during question time I sought leave of the House to table a letter which I described as being to the Greater Wellington Regional Council. I incorrectly stated that, sir. The letter was actually to Local Government New Zealand, so I'd like your guidance and maybe I need to seek leave again. The letter is dated 10th of August 2015 from the Office of Simon Bridges to Local Government New Zealand about Supergold car travel.
This with ease. The letter, from memory, it was accepted and tabled. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the letter's been tabled. I think it just goes to prove.
Sorry, no, I haven't tabled it because it's. Sorry.
Okay.
Approval was, sir, to clarify. There was no objection to me tabling the letter that I requested, but I incorrectly described the letter, sir. It's to Local Government New Zealand.
I think on that basis the member can proceed to table it because I think the inaccuracy is relatively unimportant. The document may be of information to members, but I think it goes to serve how careful members should be when I ask them to describe documents with accuracy. On this case, I don't think it's necessary to put the leave again. The member can proceed to table that document.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Jami-Lee Ross.
Speaker, there's a reason why the member that finished speaking last is in charge of the Wellington Town Belt Bill, because that speech was so beltway, it's just not funny. Mr Speaker, if workers were sitting at home watching Parliament TV, they'd be very concerned to know that the Labour Party have put that man in charge of the future of work in New Zealand. And Mr Speaker, when we're seeing in this country and in this economy 175,000 jobs being created in the past few years, we're seeing more people getting into work, more people coming off the welfare queue and living a life of opportunity. Mr Speaker, it's hard to know what they're going on about because, Mr Speaker, New Zealanders are far better off under this government and they are succeeding better. Mr Speaker, I grew up in a Labour-supporting household. I grew up in a household where there were freezing workers in my household, a household that believed that the Labour Party was the best party for them because supposedly the Labour Party was all about the workers and was all about the future opportunities for workers. But, Mr Speaker, when we hear speaker after speaker from the Labour Party not talking about everyday New Zealanders, getting their heads in the clouds talking about things that are completely irrelevant to everyday New Zealanders, Mr Speaker, people like my family, where they grew up in the freezing works thinking Labour was the party for them, they're changing sides. They're moving over to the National Party because they're seeing that we're a party that actually supports workers. And, Mr Speaker, the Labour Party of old used to be a party that supported free trade. Not anymore. They don't support free trade. They don't support the jobs created through free trade. They don't support future opportunities for New Zealand workers. And, Mr Speaker, the Labour Party of old also used to be about encouraging people to work. But now, Mr Speaker, they're all about providing people free money, costing the taxpayer $40-odd billion for the universal basic income. And, Mr Speaker, they rather send the government broke than actually encourage people to work. They're no longer about encouraging people to work. They're more about giving people money and coming up with policies to bribe New Zealanders to vote for them. Mr Speaker, they also used to be the party of independent monetary policy. Now, all of a sudden, they think they, as politicians, are better at setting interest rates than the Reserve Bank and the banks in New Zealand. They think, Mr Speaker, they're the best ones to decide how banks in New Zealand should be setting their interest rates. I don't think there are many people out there in voterland that believe that politicians know better than the Reserve Bank, that politicians know better than people that actually set interest rates in this country. And, Mr Speaker, I'm pretty sure New Zealanders will be rejecting that idea as well. And, Mr Speaker, they also used to be the party that welcomed migration, welcomed people to New Zealand, that wanted to come here for future opportunities to bring skills, bring investment, or come here for training. Mr Speaker, no longer do they support migrants. They're now more interested in targeting people based on their last name. They're now more interested in targeting people based on which ethnic restaurant they work on and Mr Speaker, I think New Zealanders are appalled by that. Mr Speaker, we are seeing more people getting jobs in this economy. That is something that the Labour Party should be supporting and should be celebrating. They should be supporting our future opportunities for New Zealanders through free trade, through more investment in infrastructure. But, Mr Speaker, they oppose time after time many of the things that we're doing. Mr Speaker, we're seeing more people getting jobs in the likes of the manufacturing industry, where they claim crisis, but Mr. Speaker, manufacturing's actually been growing for the past 41 months. Mr. Speaker, they oppose many of our roading projects, but Mr. Speaker, 35,000 people have jobs through the Roads of National Significance program. That's 35,000 people that wouldn't otherwise have jobs. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand is seeing improvements under this government. New Zealanders are seeing more job opportunities under this government. And if I can agree with one thing Grant Robertson said, it's that New Zealanders sit at home and say, is my government backing me? Mr. Speaker, the New Zealand government is backing New Zealanders. New Zealand government is providing more jobs through a better economic policy. We're seeing better health services, better education services. We're seeing crime rates coming down. And Mr. Speaker, we are backing New Zealanders. We are seeing better opportunities for New Zealanders. And we reject many of the things the Labor Party is putting forward.